They used to wear these big black shoes, so they'd stand out a mile, even though they were in plain clothes. They always had that police shoes on. So if you wanted to know a policeman, just look at his feet and you'd see.
On Monday morning, 5 days before rioting erupted, 10 squads of plainclothes police officers left Brixton police station.
What I condoned was a build-up of police because the crime was building up within Brixton area, and it seemed to me and experienced detective officers that a lot of it was emanating from the front line.
It was simply stopping and searching any young black man that happened to move in and around the central Brixton area.
They just stop any and every black person, young or old, but especially kids.
Everywhere you look, there was a Bobby there, him and his friend, walking up and down and harassing you and asking you to what you got in your pockets and stuff like that. And if you didn't want to tell him, he got a bit aggressive.
Even on Rowton Road, they was actually brave enough to come to the top end of the line and make a number of arrests there. We thought, wow, they're gonna try arrest us anywhere now.
Tension was rising, but crime was falling. And as muggings shrunk by half in the week of Swamp 81, the police claimed the operation an outright success.
If you knew clearly that blacks were responsible for the greater number of muggings than whites, you would be foolish. You don't have to be a trained officer to know that you would be foolish to go and chase whites rather than blacks.
Quite obviously, in those sort of situations, you are going to catch a lot of innocent people in the net.
Victimized for no other reason other than he is black.
By Friday afternoon, after nearly 1,000 stops had been made in a week, almost all of Brixton became alarmed by the tactics of the police.
I was walking along Acre Lane, as usual, and I saw a policeman with a young black guy. And he was really giving it to him, boxing him, dragging him, and my heart began to pound, you know, and I thought, oh my God, he's going to kill that boy. And then someone was coming up to me and I looked, and it was a tall, handsome policeman. And he looked down at me and he says, what are you looking at? And I says, I'm looking at the way he's doing that boy. And he says, mind your own business and go your way before you get your share. And for him to speak to me like that, I think that was dreadful. And my share of what? What was he going to do to me? I was just taken aback and disappointed.
Swamp 81 had galvanized the whole community against the police.
You can't say anything, you can't stand and look, because you will be told, move on. And if you refuse, you would be arrested.
We had no hope. So it come to a point now that we didn't care anymore. We didn't care anymore.
What are you going to do, just sit and take it?
In inner cities across Britain, anger towards the police and the government had been brewing. In just 1 week, Swamp 81 had pushed Brixton to the brink. As plainclothes officers went back on duty on Friday night, the police had no idea what they were walking into. Nothing looked out of the ordinary. Brixton was just getting ready for the weekend.
I was actually in the pool room in Stass's playing the Space Invaders. I was like crazy about Space Invaders. I just used to sit on that machine forever.
I was hustling, selling my weed.
I was thinking, as I usually did on a Friday evening, weekends here, Where am I going to go on Saturday, maybe Sunday? What clothes am I going to wear? What girls' numbers can I get?
At about 6 o'clock, a young constable, a couple of months into service, was on what he thought was a routine call.
It was a warm day, I remember that, because I had just my shirt. Wasn't wearing a tunic, so I was in shirt sleeves, and we had new open collars there. You didn't have to wear a tie.
With every young black man in Brixton seeing the police as the enemy, any event was ripe for misinterpretation. A fight in a pool hall was all it took to set things off.
Eventually, I know that one man stabbed another man, and when you realise that he got stabbed, he ran out of Stas's.
I saw coming towards me from a distance someone running, not towards me, but in my direction. There was a huge hole, huge gap in his back that was pouring blood.
The police officer decided to question the injured youth, a local called Michael Bailey.
I think he must have been weak because he fell over. Just as he fell over, there's a policeman that came down.
I was then joined by several other black people.
But we would all run out there thinking that, yeah, because, you know, you just want to see fire, innit?
I tried to explain. But I mean, I was covered in his blood as well by now. And he managed to get away. A couple of minutes later, I heard on the radio that the van unit had found him and that they were trying to help him.
Police records show the officers at the scene had already radioed for an ambulance. But the crowd refused to believe them.
They're trying to nick the guy that's on the floor who's bleeding. So we're saying, look, can't you see that the man's bleeding? Can't you see that the man, he looks like he's dying? Because I'm sure I can remember he was changing colour.
They were trying to help him in the back of the van, and people's perceptions again that they were trying to hurt him.
The hospital was like 3-4 minutes down the road. You'll be there in 2 minutes as long as you put your sirens on. And they were saying, no, they can't do it, and they weren't going to take this guy in the back of their car.
And it escalated from there.
Within minutes, the misunderstanding had turned into a standoff as 40 black youths gathered around the police van with the stabbed man inside.
I joined the melee. I joined the melee, so to speak.
You got these three cops cornered, innit? And, you know what I mean, you're always being cornered by them.
Next thing you know, Brixton stones and buckles start fling.
Everything broke out right there and then.
On that day, I was part of a team that drove around in a van, and the call came up for urgent assistance.
Over the bridge.
The operators on the radio at Scotland Yard were calling for all available units to make their way there.
The nearest brick, the nearest bottle, whatever came to hand, I just picked it up and started throwing it.
There were police cars abandoned in a haphazard fashion, maybe 3, 4, 5 or more.
They had to back off, you know what I mean? And they couldn't, some of them couldn't even get in their cars and reverse up the road. They had to run.
We didn't know what to do. There was cops struggling and fighting with people. The police were outnumbered, and this was on a scale that I'd never seen before.
It was great. It was like what you always wanted to see. You always wanted to beat a policeman, innit? That's just how it went.
We eventually got back in the vehicles. We were all told to leave the area and go back to Brixton. So we did. We got in our vehicles and drove back.
With surprise on their side, the 100-strong crowd had beaten 30 police officers into retreat.
I felt at ease with myself. I didn't feel like I'd done something wrong. I just felt like I'd evened the score.
With 6 officers injured and 4 police vehicles attacked, Brixton's police had been humiliated. But both sides believed the battle was over.
As far as I was aware, that was it. You know what I mean? They got a good arse in and this would be it, you know?
But now, stories were spreading about Michael Bailey, the stabbed man who'd sparked the unrest.
In the night, there was nothing else to talk about.
We was all talking about it, and people knocking on the door.
There was rumours around spreading that Michael had died. People were saying, "Oh, that, what kind of thing that? Why, how him for dead?"
If he is dead, it was definitely because of the police, because he was there for quite a while on the floor.
The police stab up somebody. That's what alerted us. The police stab up somebody. And that went around Brixton like wildfire. The police have actually killed a youth. And we thought, oh my God, they've really got it in for us now.